Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the SmallSmall podcast. My name is Dara Oyedele. I'm the digital content manager at SmallSmall. But of course, we're already on first name basis, so you can call me Dara. We're very excited for today's episode for a lot of reasons. I'm going to get into that very shortly. But of course, I have my co-host here with me. So please do introduce yourself to our amazing audience.
You're doing a great job there again. So my name is Tunde Balogun. I'm the co-founder and CEO at SmallSmall. It's excited to be back on the podcast, and I'm just for the same reason you're excited. I am thrilled because of something. I'll let you do justice to that. So yeah.
I'm not exactly sure you're thinking fully in the line of where I'm going, but we'll see very soon. Yeah,
okay,
we'll see shortly. So we're very happy to be back for another episode, and thank you so much, guys, for all of the love you've been showing on our podcast, on YouTube, on Instagram. We can't wait to receive more of that.
We have over 20,000 views already on YouTube.
Yes, well over 20, about 30-something thousand. So and we also crossed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you so much, guys. Now to the main business of the day. We have a very amazing person here today with us, and I think I'm just going to say why. One of the reasons I'm really excited, which is that she's actually going to be the first CEO that we're going to have on the podcast, the first female CEO.
Female CEO.
Rather, yes. So I think that deserves a lot of accolades. So we're very excited to have you here. She's the CEO of Wakanow, and of course, I'm going to let her do justice. Please introduce yourself.
As you have rightly said. I'm happy to be here. My name is Adenike Macaulay, CEO of Wakanow Nigeria Group. I think a lot of people know about Wakanow only as part of the Wakanow Nigeria Group, but we actually have 3 entities actually in the Wakanow Nigeria Group. Wakanow remains the legacy brand, of course, and then we have Onboard, which is a Gen Z offshoot of Wakanow, a Gen Z focused offshoot of Wakanow, which is an experience-led OTA, online travel business. And then we have Point View Travels, which is an Indian-led travel business that was acquired last year. So those are the 3 entities that run into the Wakanow Group, and I'm fortunate to be the one that is leading the business. Happy to be here.
I'm very excited you mentioned the product that specifically targets the Gen Zs. We're hoping to see more of them as viewers on this particular episode as a result. So, of course, we're here to speak about Wakanow, but also to touch down very deeply into the installment payment aspects of Wakanow. So can you please speak briefly about getting travel tickets, flight tickets on installments?
Okay, so we actually have a product called Pay Small Small, very similar to the discussion that we're having here, the SmallSmall podcast. And it's a product that allows our customers purchase tickets, travel products, so not just flights, actually all the products that we do offer, and we're a full-fledged travel company, so flights, hotels, accommodation, rides, every other ancillary that rolls around travel, we offer that, and our customers are able to leverage Pay Small Small on all those products. The way ours works is customers make, so it's a lot of people hear Pay Small Small and think it's buy now, pay later, which is not what we offer. We actually have that for our B2B clients, our corporate clients, and some of the, I would say, the travel agents, the smaller travel agents that work with us that we consolidate for. That's different. That's credit. That's really buy now, pay later. But the Pay Small Small product that we offer is really Pay Small Small until you fly. Pay small until you go into that accommodation. Pay small until you consume the service or the product that you're purchasing. How it works for us is customers pay 25% down payment, and we finance the rest based off of our relationships with the different suppliers. Customers have between 24 hours and 6 months, even more than 6 months, as far as they want to stretch that payment period. They have that period to pay back the 75% to us. Now they have no dealing with the supplier. The supplier gets their payment 100% upfront from Wakanow, and then the customer then settles Wakanow the 75% within the stipulated period, and the customer only accesses the service or the ticket in that instance after the 100% has been settled, which is why of course you have to complete the payment before you fly, because only then can you access the ticket. But what it does for you, of course, we know the way, and if I focus on flights, you know the way flight pricing works. The earlier you book, most often the cheaper that you can get it. So what it allows you to do is to plan, is to unlock those cheap fares that you would see a lot earlier, and to lock it down. Because if you see a price, a fare, you're going to London or going to Abuja, today it's 900K if you're trying to check for departure in July. If you're trying to check for departure tomorrow, it might be double that price. But with Pay Small Small, you can pay 25% of that 900K today and lock in that fare at 900K today, and then you have between now and July to settle the 75%. So that's pretty much how it works with us.
That's very, very interesting. I mean, you laid claim on some certain aspects of, say, Wakanow kind of visits payments to the suppliers, and you know, as a consumer or a customer, a client, I don't have to like deal with them directly, and I really want to come down to that, and you know, just like the merits, disadvantages on Wakanow's end. However, before we go into that, I would like to hear your thoughts on the current credit system in Nigeria. So it seems like more people are like interested in the credit system, and even though more developed countries are like way past like beginner phases, so would you say it's poverty, or what exactly can we pinpoint as the reason? What in your opinion do you think is the reason for more engagement with like credit system in the Nigerian market right now?
Being slow? Why have
so I was going to say, is it more engagement now than before, or not more engagement, because we still have some way to go.
We
still have. I mean, we're talking about Pay Small Small now. If you go to the Western countries, I mean, they talk about credit there. So Pay Small Small is more archaic than, you know, where the Western world is today. So we still have some way to go. But in terms of adoption of the credit system, the installmental payment system, I think we're many years from, or there's been some positive evolution in the adoption of the credit system, and not paying 100% upfront in generally in the business landscape in Nigeria. I think I would say maybe in the past there's been some. I think it's because it's seen to be debt. And Africans generally do not like to owe. So there is this mindset that when you adopt a credit system or a Pay Small Small system, rather than looking at what it unlocks for you, what it, you know, allows you to plan better, it allows that naira in your pocket today do other things for you, whilst you leverage the payment options, the flexible payment options that are available. Unlike before, where it seemed to be debt, like you're taking a loan. Sometimes some people don't like take a loan, whereas the smartest businessmen in the world, they do not actually finance all of their business ventures. A lot of the biggest businessmen that you're seeing on all of the Forbes list, all their business is done based on one financing or the other. So the same thing should also be made available to consumers across different sectors, and that's what really we're doing. So I think it's really the mindset of the average African not wanting to owe, wanting to know that, look, I've paid you, nobody's going to disturb me, but not understanding that you can actually leverage financing to stretch that naira that you have today to do more for you if you're not consuming that product now. And that's even talking about Pay Small Small, not even credit. Even if you're consuming now, there are financing options that offer you the buy now, pay later scenario, where you can pay a deposit. Of course, you pay a little more, but you can then plan, you know, a little better. So it unlocks so much. But I think that mindset of not being, not wanting to be seen as a debtor is really what has held a lot of Africans back from really engaging and leveraging the opportunities that the credit system and the financing system actually gives to you as a consumer.
I mean, off camera, I and Sudi were discussing in regards to...
You're not off camera. Let me remind you.
You're right on camera.
Not right now. I mean, before we came on air,
right.
Ian and I were discussing, the recent engagements by the Nigerian government in regards to commencement of operations by Credit Corps and, a allocation budget of, say, 100 million. So, do you think that is going to do anything like substantial, like in the nearest future, to basically, pull more people on board to kind of engage with the credit system?
The diplomatic answer would be yes. Of course, again, once you start to see government institutionalizing certain things, then adoption sometimes could be quicker. Because I mean, there is some. It seemed to be. It's now seen to be a legal or a regular or a standardized means of accessing financing or servicing for the sectors in which they are making it available. Yes, of course, government doing that would contribute towards the adoption. But of course, we always know that the private sector always has, I think, triple or more stake or more. A part to play when it comes to I would say educating the consumer for them to start engaging and adopting the credit that is available to consumers. So yes, government institutionalizing that would go some way, but the private sector also has to actually jump on that, leverage that to then make it accessible to all consumers, as the case may be.
So if I can chip in, I mean, again, I want to take it from the vision of our company, which is, or even the goal of this podcast, right? Which is to spotlight and shine more light on the whole credit system, instrumental payment in Nigeria. And it's from a vision of we believing that quality living can be normalized if people can have access to flexible payment, installment payment, right? Because the old cash thing, paying for everything in cash, has not really helped us. Maybe it has worked in the past for, I can't put a time to that, but when you look at this time that we are in right now, it's obvious that for us to unlock certain growth in our economy, for us to unlock certain growth in quality of livelihood, right? Then people, especially the middle class, right? For us to further empower our middle class, right? They need to have access to credits, they need to have access to installment payments, right? Because what it means is that then they can spread the whatever cash they have, whatever money they have, they can spread it. They can go further, right? So there's that cultural change that needs to happen, just like you mentioned. But for me, I want to take it from from the industry that you play in, which is the travel industry, right? When you look at that normalized quality living, I mean, people travel for different reasons, right? People travel because they're going for education. People travel for recreation. People travel vacation and all of that, which is still under recreation. How do you think that plays out, or what is how big of a need it is for people to actually go on vacation, for people to take time for recreation? And that recreation, that vacation can be local or international, because it's not just, you don't have to travel to Canada, you don't have to go to the US, you can go to Abuja. I was just in Abuja for a few days. I've been in Lagos for some months now. My last trip was last year outside of the country. That sense of, I'm outside of the hustle and bustle of Lagos, gave me this sense of peace. I'm back in Lagos, I'm back in the hustle and bustle, but I had time to recreate in my mind somehow. So how much of a big deal it is for people to actually take that time out and tying it into what you also offer in that flexible payment to, tickets, buying of tickets and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've given a perfect example of you just feeling like you were, more relaxed just by being outside Lagos, not necessarily having to go to Dubai. Let me call the favorite places or the international places that Nigerians like to go to Dubai or to London or to Maldives or Seychelles. No. But at the end of the day, you just taking some time off to out of your regular day-to-day environment. It could be within Lagos. It could be you just going to check into a hotel. and just staying away from work for a weekend. Because again, people have this conception that a vacation always has to be international. It always has to be you getting on a plane and going somewhere before you are taking a vacation. No, a vacation can actually be in your house. A vacation can be just you turning off your laptop and saying I'm disconnecting from work. A vacation can actually just be you not going into the office, not commuting. Anything that constitutes as rest for you, of course, is considered a vacation. But again, I always say travel opens up your mind. You just going out of your natural environment. There is some level of peace, there's some level of rest. I mean, it's a mental thing. Maybe the psychologist can explain it better.
You are in a seat of psychologist.
I'm not a
right
psychologist,
now.
but I know for sure that there's this joke that we like call it a joke or a meme that I've seen recently that you are 90% happier when you have a vacation booked. Yeah, and when you just know that there's something that you're looking forward to, it already impacts your state of mind before you even go. And unfortunately, the reverse is also the case, because when you're rounding up your vacation, you're like,
oh yeah,
you already have that. So
Yes.
I'm going back into the
going
hustle
back,
and bustle,
But
again, it's important to take a break. Our summer campaign for the past 2 years has been take a break. Last year was take a break, escape to paradise. This year is going to be something different, but it's always anchored around taking a break. The summer period is a period where you see the most, and summer, there's always summer in Nigeria, right? But summer, I would say the summer holiday for the children, really, and I think it's around the holiday period as well for the children, is the time where you see the most demand, particularly in international travel, because that's when children are on holiday. That's where people take time off to go to whatever countries or whatever places they want to go and get some rest. But you see, I would say in the last 18 months, there has been a significant increase in the average ticket price, particularly when it comes to international travel. Since the exchange rate was unified, there was some stability. But you see, as at January 2023, the official exchange rate by which tickets are converted, international tickets are priced in dollars. So there is a standard rate, usually pegged around the official rates, is what the international airlines are bound to convert by. So as at January 2023, it was 463. So average ticket price, let's use London as an example, $1,000. Yeah, $1,000 as of January 2023 was 463,000 naira. That same $1,000 as of January 2024, the exchange rate as of 2024, after the unification of the exchange rate, and we saw the CBN rate, start to mirror what the parallel market rate was saying. The exchange rate is at the average exchange rate for Q1 is actually 1,525. So that same ticket that cost $1,000, that still costs $1,000 actually, because the prices of tickets have not increased. Now costs 1.5 million naira. And in an economy where we've not seen purchasing power increase, you've not seen anything driving, in local currency, the ability to absorb that level of an increase. Definitely, it would impact the need that everybody has, to take a break. Your pockets might actually not be able to support the break that you want to take, that you were able to take really a year ago. And that's where having a product such as Pay Small Small then cushions a bit that impact for our customers. Meaning that, today, yes, it costs 1.5 million. Luckily, for many reasons, I know there's been a lot of discussion in the media around the cost of tickets to London. Now, dropping a bit in the last couple of weeks since we got additional capacity from a new local airline that operates on that route to Gatwick. But still, at the minimum, the average ticket price has gone up 150%. So which means that the average traveler whose salary has not gone on, whose earnings has not gone up 150%, would feel the impact. This is where Pay Small Small then comes in, because it allows you to first of all, plan ahead. It allows you to spread that impact over a couple of months. It allows you not to come out of pocket with the 1.5 million at a go. At the best, you're paying 25% of that and then spreading the rest. In Nigeria is a late bookers market. So you see a lot of the bookings. People are traveling for summer in July. They're booking maybe end of June or in July, which means that
even a few days before the trip.
Exactly.
International trip.
And I don't know why it's a behavior. It's not only Nigerians. Africa is generally a late bookers market. So which means that you don't even get to access those low ticket classes that are available months ago. Now the cost of those tickets is forcing customers to plan.
I have a question
better.
that I want to tie to this answer that you're giving now. Do you think the fact that we're a cash economy is a major contributor to that low tickets, because you are thinking of, when I have the money, you are waiting for that money, that cash to come?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You just mentioned now that even you, a couple of days, that's when you book. Is that a factor for you?
Yeah, it's a factor.
Are you really booking a couple of days to travel because you cannot, you are waiting to have the complete
It's a factor, actually.
Is that the major factor?
For me, the times that I've had to book last minute, it's because I was waiting for certain funds to come in, right? So that, and once those funds comes in, then I feel like, yes, I can show
the funds came in a few days to
because now I have the money. I can make if there was a solid credit system in place. It allows me plan. I can say, I don't have to worry about.
Wakanow has always had pay small now, so.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the way the pay small is getting a lot of awareness now. The way people are opening up to the credits, the whole installment payment right now is very different from a few years ago. When, even though I lived abroad, I was used to that whole thing. But again, I still had that mindset of that I'm in Nigeria now. I should be able to afford and pay for everything up front. So do you think that it's a major contributor to the whole purchasing culture of tickets?
I think it is a contributor, but not a major contributor.
Okay.
I think it's. I would, if I could explain it, I would have changed this thing a long time ago, because again, the average traveler is doing themselves a disservice not planning a year ahead. Not planning 6 months ahead, not planning 3 months ahead, because you're limiting yourself. What do you plan on?
What do you plan with? Money you plan with, right?
But you're planning with less. Right, because you can access that same service or that same flight ticket that you're trying to book for as much as 50% of what you are paying 3 days prior.
But when you don't have the money yet, how do you make that plan?
Do you really not have it?
We're just generally commerce.
My angle is
both.
My angle is it's not. Of course, we know that, and that's the reason why we decided to offer a financing option to say, hey, if this is the reason, now we're giving you an option of paying 25%, and you've secured it, and you can spread the rest.
And adoption has increased as a result of that.
Adoption has increased. Has that late booking behavior changed? Not significantly. Let me tell you something that would shock you, data that would shock you. Or let me even ask you. So we have 24 hours to 6 months, primarily as the financing period that we offer with Pay Small. What do you believe would be the most adopted tenure?
1 month, maybe?
1 month.
3 months.
3 months. It's 24 hours. 24 hours.
That one is serious.
That's you see, and those are some things that data would actually point you to. The reason that, like, customer behavior, you at the back of your mind think that the reason why this behavior is this way is because you're trying to gather the funds and this and that. Is not only the case. It is not only the case. 24 hours, and we've thought about it, that why is someone doing Pay Small for 24 hours? It is accumulating cash, moving cash from one bank to the other. It is transaction limits, it's payment limits, particularly as average ticket price was going through the roof. As at last year, if you were trying to get a business class ticket on British Airways or Virgin Atlantic to London, you're paying 10 million, right? Sometimes you can't make that transfer in one tranche, right? But you're trying to secure the fare that you have seen. So for so many reasons, 24 hours to 7 days actually is more than 50%.
Again,
of
riding
our
on that
customers.
data.
That's the period.
So riding on that data quickly again, right? If you look at the people that do 24 hours, could you say that those people have they are more liquid or have higher purchasing power, and that's so it's a matter of just them moving money compared to, let's say, someone with lower or lesser purchasing power that still needs to look for the money?
No, I don't think so. I think if you're more liquid, you'd have the money in different accounts and you move it in one swoop, right? You don't need to kind of pay 25% today and then move the rest and accumulate and pay the rest. I don't think it's a factor of being more liquid. Now, again, if I could explain why 24 hours was the highest adopted tenure, I probably would do so much with knowing the reason for that behavior, but that's what data tells us, 24 hours. And again, it could be you've spent some time in gathering the funds and you're almost there, you're expecting the last ride. There could be so many explanations for that, but and this is not for maybe just the low ticket value, this is not for maybe local ticket, it spreads across both business class, upper class bookings to the lowest fares of domestic travel, so it cuts across. So there is not one, I wouldn't say it's a category of customers that are adopting the 24 hours, but it is the highest adopted tenure for Pay Small Small in Wakanow today.
Wow, that's interesting.
Very, very interesting. So, you already spoke in regards to how the Pay Small Small structure can still probably be a problem on the consumer's end. However, I want to ask, are there any demerits that Wakanow faces as a result of, opening up like an option for financing travel tickets?
It's a risk that we've decided to take because, like I said, we're financing 75% on behalf of the consumer, right? And a lot of times, not all those products or services are refundable. So should the client, of course, the 25% is non-refundable. But again, we're coming out of pocket with 75%. So should the customer not complete the payment, we still have that 75% to...
Do you have any verification process?
No,
kind of.
Actually.
Ooh. So it's very open, like just pay the 25%, yes. But that 25% is not refundable, you said.
It's non-refundable.
So that's the risk part on the customer side.
Exactly. Okay. And again, this is based off of understanding the standard African behavior. Like I said, Africans don't like to owe. They don't like and they don't like to be seen as debtors. And then again, if you have committed 25% towards a service, and it's not usually, we see the adoption more for international tickets, for the high value tickets. 25% is still a significant sum. You don't want to lose it because it's non-refundable. So what we often see, default rates today is less than 1%. It's negligible. So it's a risk that we've taken, but we've seen that customer behavior supports that we can continue taking that risk. What we've seen rather than a default is an extension of the tenure. So should the customers not be able to fulfill or complete that payment with the number of tranches that was agreed at the initial when the transaction was consummated, what they do is to extend the travel period.
And you give them that flexibility as well.
Extend the travel period. That means you are financing for a much longer period, and of course different interest.
Do you change the ticket price at that point?
So it's because again you're rebooking that ticket with the airline, right? So it's subject to the value of that ticket today. So most of the time it's more expensive because you're probably extending for a few more weeks or a few more days, rather than the fare that you got months ahead, which was more competitive than what is available today. So yes, there will be some additional payment. It's not you just extending and paying the service fees. No. So you change the ticket, pay the current rate, and then complete the payment. We see that more 99% of the time than a default. Default rates today is 0.4%.
That was, similar to the default we experienced when we launched Rent Small Small, because everybody was saying that, how are you going to deal with default? How are you going to, like, people were even saying, like, this, it's not going to be a success, right? And we've been at it for 6 years now. And in the first 3 years, I think our default was less than 5%. It was only when the economy had a major downturn in 2022, you know, when we saw the increase in default, it was even with a particular category of customers that were paying, that their rents were below 50,000 or so. The people that rent were around 200,000. That the default still, we kept it at the base, right?
And it was the same with us. That even that 0.5%, a lot of it was during COVID.
Okay.
You know, when the airspace was shut and customers had already bought tickets. Like, why am I completely? I can't even fly. I don't even know when I don't even know if I'll be able to fly again because no one knew what to expect then. That's when we saw the default rate. But if you average it out and take out that COVID period, it would be much lower than even 0.5%. So yeah.
So before, I mean, that, I'm sure you still have other questions, right? For me, it's how do we increase adoption of instrumental payment in Africa? In Nigeria, particularly, how do we scale this adoption? Because it's fundamental to, again, middle class, empowering middle class, improving their quality of livelihood, being able to use their cash to do more, and then also from a place of that cultural barrier of I don't want to owe, right? I don't want to. I know that we've moved grounds a bit, and grounds are moving, but how can we accelerate that adoption from your own experience? And what do we need to go and tell all the churches stop preaching? Because I mean, we've had a guest here that said that it's also from our background, religious. You know, what people are hearing from the pulpit, from whether in church or mosque, you know, is a major factor or contributor to how culture and mindset of people. I think education goes, and I love that idea of, you know, because again, I think the religious leaders are able to drive change more than they know, right? And they need to start leveraging it for greater economic good. I leave it at that. But again, I think education has a place to play. That mindset shift that needs to happen. Not expecting it to happen organically, but being intentional about creating that awareness on how leveraging the available financing options is a good financial decision. It's a healthy financial decision and not an indication of you struggling financially. That's the mindset shift that needs to happen, because sometimes it's like, oh, you're taking this option because you can't afford it. Not necessarily. It's because I want to be able to plan better. It's because I want to fix the 75% and earn some profit on that, and you know, still you get what I mean. You know, so there are ways where you can project it as being a sound financial decision rather than it being born out of need. Even if it is born out of need, it is still a sound financial decision. Also having more suppliers and more companies adopting it and having that as a payment option, making it mainstream. Then rather than it being one or two companies here and there that are offering it, and then you seem like the outlier when you're offering, and seem like the one that is, you know, taking this risk. Once it becomes mainstream, adoption would follow. Those two things, but the major thing is that mindset shift. That's a tongue twister. Mindset shift that needs to happen. Positioning, leveraging financing options and adoption of credit as a positive and sound financial decision rather than a decision being made out of struggle, out of poor financial health, would definitely start to drive adoption. A landlord we were trying to onboard a landlord, and he once said to me or to us in the meeting we had with him that, oh, people that are paying rent monthly, does that not mean that they are not doing well? They are broke. And I had to educate him that no, like, and this is in fact a group MD of one of the biggest top 3 banks in Nigeria. He's retired now, but he said that to me, and it's almost like I had to educate him, and he was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it's interesting that you said that.
If you sit down and do the maths, depending on the tenure, but most of the time if you sit down and do the maths, particularly if you are then, of course, using the payment that you would have made, using it to also generate some profit or some revenue. If you sit down and do the math, it's logical. It's pure logic. What you can do with having that liquidity versus just tying it down into a service that maybe you're not even using today. But also the culture of, I can afford it, let me pay for it, so I don't seem as
that culture does. It's even it does us more harm than good, because it means that people are thinking of, how can I steal so that I can be able to afford.
Exactly.
It's actually fueling greed. It's fueling a lot of characters that are not helpful to us as a nation. So
you see people here comparing themselves to the counterparts in the Western world that are accessing a lot of the luxury goods that they see, cars, mobile phones, by making monthly payments. But you see us here going to drop millions to buy one phone because you saw someone and a music video using it that is paying $100 a month. So it's not the same, but wanting to have the same lifestyle with people, but you are not accessing funds the same way they're accessing funds. You're not leveraging the opportunities that, even though they are few and far between compared to the Western world, but the ones that are available, how is adoption? How is adopting it a good thing, even in your mind?
So mindset change and mainstream in terms of having more players come into the space, and I think that is one of the goal of this podcast, which is to showcase companies that are already providing installment payments. We have been at it for going to 7 years in the real estate space, with rental, now ownership. I mean, very similar to how you do pay small is how we do. So we have an offering under Buy Small that allows you lock a property you are interested in, and you just pay 5% to lock it down, and then we give you up to 9 months to make the down payments, not even the balance, the down payment, because if you are doing real estate transaction today, you are required to standard is make the down payment today 35-40% or 50%, depending on how generous the developer is. But we say lock it down with 5%. We give you 9 months to have the 35% down payment, and then after that we now give you up to 5 years to pay the balance on that, right? So
I mean, I really love where this conversation is going, because I was going to say that you're going to be our first guest to play our new game on the podcast, being the 5th episode, and it seems like we've kind of touched a little bit on the game. Anyway, I'll still go ahead and ask my game. Are you ready to play? So it will be both
Depends
of you playing my game.
Depends on what this game is about.
Okay,
Depends
so
on the rules
just
of the game.
Share one myth about instrumental payments in Nigeria, as well as one product that you would love to say purchase instrumentally.
A myth, I think I've spoken a lot about the myths,
you are,
right? A myth about instrumental payments is that you're using that option because you're broke. A product that I would like to see. Let me think. I'm trying to think of something not standard, not phones, not. You guys are already doing rents, right?
Yes,
so that's great.
We're doing rent and ownership.
I don't know. Maybe cars.
Okay.
Maybe cars. Maybe cars. You have rent small,
Yes,
and then you have buy small.
Yes.
So maybe also cars the same way it works everywhere, where you can pay a fee a month, and you drive the top of the range cars. Maybe the next time we sit here, you'll be telling me that I have a car small. Right?
I asked someone this question recently, and she said a wig.
I was going to say that, but it does exist, I
know it exists, but not again mainstream. There are a lot of things that happen that is still not
ground.
Yes.
And I don't think the wig is underground. Like I was going to say, but I was like, the guys that invest in it, they know that it's more mainstream than you think. Trust me.
But we want to spotlight and bring more light into like a lot of these.
So how about you, sir? What's one myth that you know?
It applies to me too.
Yes, it applies to
I
you.
thought it's too. Again, I think I can't move away from the fact that a lot of people think paying instrumentally means you are broke. I think that is probably the biggest myth that is out there about it. For me, for a product that I would like to pay instrumentally, maybe my children's school fees.
That's actually a good one.
Education,
Yes.
because education is really big.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I prioritize it. I don't joke with it. And because of how I prioritize it, I even pay before the school session starts. It's my wife that will be telling me that, let's pay half, 50% of it, and then pay the 50% of it later. But that's because I already still know that it's not that somebody is going to finance it. I'm still going to pay it out of pocket. But if there's a structure, if there's a financing instrument that is allows it, I don't know how. Maybe we might even be the one to come up with it. I don't know, or maybe it's it's paid small.
Interesting. I was telling you just before we came in that I'm the vice chair of the PTO of my children's school, and what you just said is one of the initiatives that we're planning to launch actually this month.
Wow.
To allow, and this is going to be funded by parents to start, but it's something that we would hope that the school will then take over. A fund that parents can access to actually subsidize their school fees payments or to pay installmentally. This is something that we're working on. So happy to do it with you if you are.
There's conversation we are talking.
That's very great, and we would see like a decline in how children are like being boarded and sent out of school.
Yes, it's a big thing because a lot of when you ask people what are some of their bad childhood memories, they would, or most embarrassing childhood memories, they would tell you that being sent out of school. I know several people that have told me that.
Bring a list of names.
It's definitely not pleasant for any child to go through that. So now I feel like he had the serious response, and I said,
no. I feel like
I'm feeling less responsible
nice.
than.
No, I feel like that one was nice because I was actually going to say that I'm really, really like very proud of what Wakanow is doing, because I can't wait to start my lifestyle. My travel lifestyle, my travel lifestyle career. And I'm very happy, there's something like this that allows more Nigerian youth to see the world.
I always ask this question.
Yes.
If you had two options to get a Wakanow travel, pay small, you are trying to date a guy or a guy, that guys, right? We're all about impressing. If a guy is toasting you now, a guy that has ticket for you to take you to Dubai with Wakanow pay small, or someone that has what could be a second option. I'm trying to think of a second option. Maybe what could made a down payment financing for a week for you, or fashion wants to change your entire wardrobe. Which one will you go for?
The travel has to happen. I need to see the world. What am I here after all?
Interesting. You had a customer.
Love it.
It has to happen. So,
that's the right answer.
Yes, we're very, very
so you want to
glad
see the
that
world.
you came. Yes, I really want to, and I'm so happy that Wakanow is doing that, and I can't wait to see what you continue to do in the nearest future. So before we close out on the podcast, is there anything you'd like to tell our viewers out there in regards to installment payments?
I think we've said a lot.
Yes,
we've said a lot. I hope that to an extent we've started to demystify the adoption of pay small and really small in whatever industry. I hope that we start to adopt it as a healthy and sound financial decision. Wakanow is there for you to support with, I would say, best value for money, and on top of this, best payment options available in the market. So you can catch me on wakanow.com.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have anything to say?
For me, as I've always said, small is not just a name, it's a way, right? And that way is all about financial inclusion. And I would like to extend it to even the SmallSmall Fair that we have coming up, right? At the fair, the goal is to bring people that are businesses that are providing products and services and allow installmental payment, either in travel, whether in, consumer goods like gadgets, electronics, and all of that. So it's going to be first of its kind, and it's going to be big, and it's happening here in Lagos. We hope to take it all across Africa. And I can't wait for that to happen. So more information, people should look out for more information, and it's happening very soon, actually.
Very soon. Than you think.
So we've picked a date, and promotion is starting from this week, I think.
Exactly.
So you get to see the billboards and the promotion everywhere. So
The SmallSmall Fair is coming, and just as the name implies, this is going to be a fair that kind of accumulates a lot of people from different industries in Nigeria who already offer installment payments for their products and services, wigs, skincare, cars, travel, automobile, that's cars as well, gadgets, and just so many much more. And we can't wait to, start pushing out the things that we know you love to see, as well as like an A-list lineup of all the industries that are going to be much present. So yes, anticipate, make sure to follow us across all our social media platforms. And before we go, yes, please, where can we find Wakanow across social media?
Wakanow.com.
Yeah.
Wakanow.com, Wakanow.com, Wakanow.com.
Everything,
yes, just type
Wakanow.
Wakanow is everywhere. You're going to find them, and you'll be able to take advantage of the financing options for your travel tickets. So yes, we really appreciate every single one of our listeners, and we hope that you continue to stay tuned. Do follow the SmallSmall podcast on Instagram. Check it out on YouTube, Spotify as well. Apple is coming as well, and yes, we can't wait to see you in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.